Ladies and gentlemen, welcome back to the Warren English 3 Grammar Series. Today we're going to look at simple sentences with zest. Last time, if you remember, we looked at just what a simple sentence is. And now we're going to add some zest, add some spice to that, and increase the complexity of our sentence patterns. But first, a quick little review of that simple sentence pattern. If you recall, it's got a subject, a verb, and an object, and together those three things form a simple sentence. Fish swim in the river, koalas eat eucalyptus, I am awesome. Fuzzy Wuzzy was a bear. All of those follow that pattern to the T, subject plus verb plus object. This last example is also a simple sentence. The giant, deadly shark angrily and savagely devoured the helpless swimmer. The pattern goes, the shark devoured the swimmer. There's your subject, verb, and object. But it has extra adjectives and extra adverbs to give some more excitement to this terrible shark attack. All of these sentences, what do they have in common? They express a complete thought. They express one idea. And that's what a simple sentence is. And now we're going to look at some simple sentences that have a little bit more to them, but they still express one idea. A simple sentence with a compound subject, for instance, is going to be a simple sentence that has more than one subject. For example, Mario and Luigi are brothers. The subject of that sentence is Mario and Luigi. Another example, Sally and Paco dated for 12 minutes. What is the subject? Sally and Paco. And then lastly, Rick and Steve aggressively punted the kitten into the swiftly flowing river. Rick and Steve are the subject. They are working together to punt this kitten. Maybe Rick is holding while Steve punts, or maybe the two of them are doing a three-legged race type of action. Regardless, they are working together. All of these compound subjects are working together to perform the same action. And that's something to bear in mind, something that's pretty important here. So, the next sentence pattern is this. Simple sentence with a compound subject. If you remember, the simple sentence is subject plus verb plus object. That's your basic simple sentence. If we tack on another subject, that's when we get the simple sentence with compound subject. Make sure you get this pattern written down. Make sure you store it somewhere safe in your notebook and in your mind so you have it forever and ever. Something to bear in mind, however, a compound subject may contain more than two items. For instance, Huey, Dewey, and Louie are my favorite cartoon characters. Even though there's more than two subjects here, they still are performing the same action of being awesome, especially when they're dressed as pirates. So that's the simple sentence with the compound subject. Let's look at the compound verb. Just as some simple sentences can have multiple subjects, some simple sentences can have multiple verbs. For example, Robert laughed and cried throughout the entire movie. It was a tearjerker and a comedy. It was like Jurassic Park, for instance. Or Lionel sang and danced at Elton's wedding, doing both of those things. Or lastly, and this one is key, I want to point this one out, Lisa polished the championship trophy and placed it on the mantle. Now notice in this last one, even though the verbs are split by an object, there's still only the one subject. Lisa is performing both of these actions. Lisa is polishing and Lisa is placing. If there were another subject, Lisa polished the championship trophy and Javier placed it on the mantle, that is no longer a simple sentence. So, that's something to be mindful of. Each of these sentences has a compound verb, but they're still a simple sentence. They are expressing one idea. That's what a simple sentence does. So the next pattern that we're learning here is the simple sentence with the compound verb. The pattern's the same, subject, verb, object, except now we have multiple verbs in here. And just as with the compound subject, a compound verb may contain more than 2 items. For example, my good friend Neil Patrick Harris acts, sings, and dances for his career. So we've learned the simple sentence with the compound subject. We've learned the simple sentence with the compound verb. Now we are going to learn the simple sentence with a compound subject and verb. Just as with our previous 2 examples, you can have multiple subjects and multiple verbs within the same sentence. Javier and his colleagues drafted and revised the article several times. Miley Cyrus and her dad partied and celebrated in the USA. Now, I need to warn you of something. So if you've zoned out for a moment, this is the moment to kind of come back into the video. Beware of the following error. Simple sentences. Subjects have to come as a pair. They have to be together. But the verbs do not. Let me give you an example of this. This is a simple sentence. Santa and Mrs. Claus rode the reindeer and drank hot cocoa to celebrate the end of Christmas. Even though the verbs are separated, this is still a simple sentence because Santa and Mrs. Claus are doing both actions. A counterexample, this is not a simple sentence. Santa rode the reindeer and Mrs. Claus drank hot cocoa to celebrate the end of Christmas. This is what we call a compound sentence. And Santa and Mrs. Claus in this example are doing different things. Santa is riding a reindeer, and Mrs. Claus is drinking hot cocoa. In the simple sentence, both Santa and Mrs. Claus are riding and drinking. So that's something to bear in mind and to make sure you have that distinction down cold. With that in mind, the next pattern, the simple sentence with the compound subject and verb. Make sure you get this written down. Subject plus verb plus object. That is your simple sentence with compound subject and compound verb. And just as with the compound subject and compound verb earlier, these items may contain more than 2. For example, Leonardo, Raphael, Michelangelo, and Donatello fight, kick, punch, or maim Shredder and his henchmen. Nice job, Turtles. Way to cover him up. That was nicely done. Nicely done. In sum, this make sure you have written down if you don't have them already. We've learned 4 patterns so far. Last time we learned about the simple sentence. Right now we learned about compound subjects, verbs, and together compound subjects and verbs. All 4 of these patterns are simple sentences that you must know in order to move on to the next and the next and the next grammar concept. So we're going to do a quick knowledge check to kind of see if we know what we know or figure out what we know. So the following sentences, are they simple sentences, yes or no? If they are not, tell me what is missing. The pretty sun slept slowly over the horizon. Yes, that is a simple sentence. What about this one? The night brings with it an orchestra of cicadas. Yes, that is also a simple sentence. Night is your subject, brings is your verb, and your object is orchestra in that instance. Eating pizza with Splinter after destroying Shredder. Is that a simple sentence? No, it is missing a subject. Who or what is eating pizza with Splinter after destroying Shredder? What about this one? The quick brown fox jumps over the lazy dog. Yes, this is a simple sentence. And fun fact, this sentence contains every letter of the alphabet. Feel free to pause the video and see for yourself. Arnold Schwarzenegger and his beautiful ex-wife Maria Shriver yesterday. Is that a simple sentence? No, a verb is missing. What is Arnold Schwarzenegger and his beautiful ex-wife Maria Shriver doing? Who knows? Probably bickering. Alright, now let's check times two. A little bit harder. This time, you're still going to tell me, is it a simple sentence or not? But also, is there a compound subject, compound verb, both, or neither? So, Chicago Bears punter Adam Podlesh punts and kicks like a baby seal. Now, I don't know how well baby seals punt or kick, but Adam Podlesh is the same. Regardless, simple sentence, compound subject, compound verb. What do we got? Yes, it is a simple sentence, and this one has a compound verb. Adam Podlesh is punting and kicking. What about this one? Derrick Rose and Joakim Noah are two of the best players in all of the NBA. Not only that, they are the crushes of none other than Mr. Camporese. Is this a simple sentence? Compound subject, compound verb, both neither. What do we got? This is a simple sentence, and it has a compound subject. What about this? The comedy duo Hiller and Miller love Mondays more than anything. This is a compound subject. Hiller and Miller. What about this? Michael and Michelle argue and fight all the time. This one is a compound subject and compound verb and still fits that simple sentence pattern. Lastly, what about this? Lyle ran around the block and he fainted from exhaustion. No, this one is not a simple sentence. This is a compound sentence. Its subjects are in different places. Lyle and he. Even though he represents Lyle, these are a new subject and therefore does not follow that pattern. For the due date, here's what you need to do. You need to write these 8 sentences. 5 of them follow a simple sentence pattern, and then 3 counterexamples, 3 fragments where something is missing. In addition to this, if there were any questions that you had over the course of the video or an example that wasn't clear, make sure you jot that down so you can bring that up. And make sure you've taken notes. Make sure you've written those patterns down. You're going to need to show those and get credit for those on the due date. Feel free to pause the video if you didn't get enough time to copy this down. Thanks, and happy grammar.